right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Erica, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We definitely have a lot of things to talk about, and we got the right guy to do it with. Chris Adamski from the Tribune is joining me over there in Studio A. And Chris, I want to start with the Buccos because I don't have Bucco fever today, that's for sure. Not even this series. This is the most important series so far, the Pirates, and they blew 2 games that they should have won. What do you make of this series? I thought they were in a better shape with, after the trade deadline, adding a few key pieces, but they keep trotting Cullen Holderman out there, and it just seems to backfire. I understand maybe giving the guy a chance to get kind of find his game again, find his pitches again, but the problem is he keeps finding grooving pitches for the batters to hit out of the park like today.
Yeah, there's a lot of games this season and a lot of games even here recently in the last couple of weeks where you feel like this team, if they miss the playoffs by a game or two, you look back, you point to one like this. When you got a 4-0 lead with Paul Skenes on the mound and you're in the 5th inning, you should be able to win the game, right? You're expecting to chalk that up as a win. And Holderman now, I saw him talking. He seems like it's sort of like a bad luck. It's get there, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for a little bit, I guess, but this has gone on for a while now. It's the point where I don't know that you've added to your bullpen at the trade deadline if you're the Pirates. You have a lot of high leverage arms that it is. It's the point where I don't know how Derek Shelton right now can just trust putting Holderman out there in a big situation until things change. Yeah,
they lost 3 of their last 4 games, and I would argue that all 3 of them that they could have won, right? Yeah. That they screwed up in Houston. They should have won that game. O'Neal Cruz cost them a loss in that game. That first game, they had a lead. They came back. They spotted Arizona 5 runs, and they came back and took the lead, and then, the bullpen blew it late. So I don't know what you do here. I think it kind of will level itself off, but this was a series you had to win, and look at where they are in this wild card standings, and you got 3 more important games coming up here against San Diego.
Yeah, again, you can take loss. Obviously, you're not going to sweep every series. Taking 2 out of 3 would have been huge. It's these games where you have a lead, and we talk about on the showdown later on. But the Pirates' top 3 relievers have each gone through a stretch of about a month where they've been really, really bad. They've been really, really good the other three quarters of the season or so. But remember, David Bednar was April when he was bad. Roldis Chapman, it was like May and June. Now it's Holderman, and those are your guys that you expected when the season began, and you expect reasonably if you give them a lead to protect in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, you should be able to win games. That was supposed to be the Pirates' strength all season, and at times it has, but it seems like if they can't get all 3 of these guys clicking at the same time.
Yeah, all 3 phases, like we talk about in football, they can't really get it together. I mean, they haven't had the offense all season, really, but now they're getting that, and now they don't have their bullpen. And that's what you have to point to in this series, for me at least. I mean, there are other problems, like giving up 5 runs in the first inning to Arizona the first game. But the fact is they were outscored. I saw this on the telecast, that they were outscored 8-1 after the 7th inning in this series. That can't happen. You don't win games when that happens.
Yeah, and they had leads. You're right, and late in the games of both of those 2 games, and those are the games when you still got to make up ground if you're the Pirates. You still spotted some games early in the season. You lost. I don't know what the Pirates' record is after the 7th. When they lead after the 7th inning, I'm sure it's still really good, relatively speaking. But compared to the rest of the league, I bet you they've lost as many games as almost anybody. With leads after the 6th or 7th or 8th innings.
Yeah, and you think about like the what if. So I guess it all equals out, right? But the what ifs. So what if they had hitting through those stretches early on? And then what if they didn't blow games? Bednar blew, 4 by himself at least. What if they had those things working together, that we might not be in this conversation where they're 3.5 games out of the wild card. They might be 3.5 games up.
Yeah, there's been very few games where you feel like the Pirates were non-competitive or their starting pitcher throughout and I know everybody talks about Skenes, of course, and the top of the rotation, Keller, and when Jared Jones is healthy, but even generally, although some Marco Gonzalez and Martin Perez there before they trade him, there were some duds of starts, but they've been competitive in these games a lot of times, and there's been so many games where you have a good starting effort and either the bats don't come through or the bullpen blows it, and it's just like, you're starting to get this feeling, Richie, where you're going to have this feeling of what if if they could have just won a few more games here earlier in the season by the time we get to September and they miss out by a couple games.
Yeah. Speaking of missing out, Chris, I don't know what's going on when Paul Skenes pitches, right? I mean, he should be an automatic win, you think, right? I don't know if, some of the guys ease up or I can't even explain it. Maybe you're not dialed in because you got this pitcher on the mound, but they're 9-5 when Skenes pitches.
Yeah, you think it'd be a lot more, and he only has one loss himself, so that tells you right there that a lot of times it is the bullpen, and sometimes it's not necessarily that you can't hold. If he goes 5 innings and let up a run or two, and the offense doesn't help at all, but there are a lot of times he wasn't getting the support, and now he got again a 4-0 lead. When you're in the 5th inning, I mean, that's a game. I don't even care who's pitching, actually, or who's in your bullpen, or how strong your bullpen is. You got a 4-run lead, and you're halfway through the game. You got to finish that game. And Derek Shelton used that word a lot, and maybe it's a little cliche almost, but I feel like it's happened a lot. It's been warranted to be said a lot. They got to learn to finish. They need to finish these games, and it's got to be frustrating for them and for Pirate fans, really.
I don't want to see Colin Holderman figuring things out during this playoff push. That's for sure. So we'll see what happens here. They have a huge series. They get the day off tomorrow and take it on San Diego for 3, who are ahead of them in the wild card standings. All right, we're going to take a break here. We're going to talk Steelers coming up. Stay right there. 412-575-2600 is the number. Get on board. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our GMC tweet of the night. This is the stat I was talking about, Dan Zangrilli. Pirates suffer their worst loss of the season. I don't disagree here with Dan. When Paul Skenes pitches, they're 9-5. They shouldn't be 13-1, and that is no doubt the truth. All right, Chris, talk a little Steelers here. One thing that I'm concerned about, why are the Steelers being so cautious with Russell Wilson right now? He has that calf injury that he got pushing his sled on the first day, but he hasn't really taken part. He's done a little bit more, right? We've been up there. We saw it. He does 7-on-7s, individual drills. But when it comes to 11-on-11, he's not out there. What's going on?
I like today. He threw a pass 11-on-11. The first pass he's ever thrown 11-on-11 as a Steeler in an actual training camp practice. Yeah, it really gets to feel like this is a situation where the Steelers see a situation where he wasn't going to play the first preseason game anyway. It's this odd circumstance where you have 3 quarterbacks, all of them new to your organization. I guess 4 if you want to go to the number 4 guy, new to your organization this year, and they're all on 1-year contracts. That means you have to figure out what's going on next year. And if everything goes right for the Steelers the way they want to, or the way the plan is set, Russell Wilson will be your quarterback all season long. They'll be in contention. There'll be no manner to get Justin Fields any reps throughout the season. And when you get to the regular season, you don't want your backup. You want your starter getting time. So in other words, when you get to next March, you're going to have a decision to make one way or another. You see Justin Fields a lot more this way. I think it was an opportunity to do that. You have a 35-year-old, maybe limit his reps a little bit. I kind of question it because, you have a brand new quarterback here and a new coordinator. You need to get everybody on the same page and getting the reps that way. But I'm not saying at all it certainly was a real injury, I think they're sort of, just kind of milking it.
But he said he could have played if it was a game.
Yes.
Right? And we've seen him out there.
Yes. If this was week 8 of the regular season or week 12 of the regular season, they had a big game coming up against Cincinnati, Russell Wilson be out. Yes.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. We got Mike out in Murraysville. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, gentlemen. Just like to say you guys do a great job, Rich and Dan.
Thank you a lot, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
When you guys are on, but you know what? I'm not in a very good mood tonight.
I wouldn't be either.
And Shelton put me into a bad mood. He is absolutely the worst manager in the league. Throughout the entire season, he has made blunders, and he just doesn't know how to work with pitchers and how to work them in the game. And he did it today. 2 things he did really bad. Number 1, he took out Skenes. I think I would have left him in to finish that inning. And he puts Holderman in there, who's been struggling like heck and throwing a home run ball.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. And then offensively, and this is my last point.
Go ahead.
Offensively, he has a guy bunting that's one of your best hitters, okay? But he doesn't know the guy that well because he hasn't been here that well. You don't know whether he can bunt.
Mike, you bring up a good point, and I would like to talk about that bunt. If he lays it down, they scored 2 runs and they tied this game essentially because of Brian Reynolds. I get your point that he's probably their best hitter right now, but I would have bunted in that situation. It's his fault for not laying down that bunt, right? He's a major leaguer. Obviously, he's done it before.
Yeah, that's my position. I think that he should be able to execute. If he does execute it, I'm okay with it. I see the rationale. You have your best hitter coming up. I think Derek Shelton actually explained it pretty well, saying we had Bednar available. Let's play for the tie, and we like our chances then in a tie, being at home, having your closer available to pitch it. So I didn't have a problem with it, and you would think he wouldn't. He had a career history of getting bunts down. So I'm not. There are things to criticize Derek Shelton about, but I'm not so sure if the bunt is that. I even think the scheme that this was probably the worst, quote unquote worst.
He had 100 pitches. You got to take him out, right?
Yeah. The stuff he had, it was kind of a hot day. It didn't seem he wasn't really getting the swings and misses. We didn't hit 100. I believe I saw that for this game. So if it wasn't for the Pirates bullpen needing or sort of being taxed from the rain delay Saturday night, I think they might even take it on after 5 innings, and then maybe who knows what we're talking then? Because maybe Holder. Well, I don't think Holderman come in the 6th. Who knows where this game goes at that point? But
hopefully we're not saying his name for the next week or so. Let's go out to Mike in Newcastle. How you doing, Mike?
Gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Good, thanks for calling, Mike.
Okay, one thing I want to talk about Paul Skenes, and he's been nothing short of brilliant and more than we can expect, but he is a rookie pitcher, and one thing he does have to work on a little bit is team strategy against him now is just to work him to get to 100 pitches like the Diamondbacks did today and get him out because they know they can't hit him. And that's one thing that Mitch Ripkeller's really gotten good at, in my opinion. He's able just to put guys away, get 7 innings, 100 pitches, put guys away quicker. That's one thing Paul does need to work on a little bit if he's ever to take even the next step to be a truly elite pitcher all time of the game. But that's just one thing I noticed. What do you guys think?
I don't necessarily disagree. Yeah, I mean, if you throw strikes, he's going to limit pitches anyways, right? It's a lot of foul balls and stuff like that when you're throwing all these pitches. A lot of his strikeouts are on off-speed pitches I saw today.
It's a fine line because you don't want to turn him into a pitch-to-contact guy. I mean, that was the old Pirates of about a decade ago. That was sort of their strategy, and he's not. You want him to strike people out. You want him to miss the bats, and strikeouts take a lot of pitches. And it is sort of this conundrum nowadays with the pitch counts and the inning limits and everything they do now, that if you have a guy that your best pitchers, the ones that are getting strikeouts, getting swings and misses, that takes a lot more than if you have a crafty lefty or a sinker baller who people will swing out the first or second pitch and hit ground balls. Those can be effective, but your better guy, if you strike somebody out, they ain't getting on base. I know that. If that takes a lot of pitches, and it's hard to get the 9 innings when you're striking out a lot of guys. Really
the Pirates have been patient too at times. That was one of their problems early in the season, just working starting pitchers. Let's go out to AJ in Newcastle. How you doing, AJ?
Hey, Rich, how's it going?
Good. Big night in Newcastle. What's going on?
Yeah. So this Pirate team, a lot of people may think this is the worst team in baseball right now. We have all these good starting pitchers that can go 6+, and then this bullpen comes in and they constantly blow games. And then,
AJ, I wouldn't say constantly. I mean, they've been pretty solid for a while there. I still feel like it's a good team, but it is what it is. They're a 500 team. That's essentially what they are. You brought in these bats to help this lineup. Maybe that can get them to the playoffs. I hope so. But I want to see what they do in the offseason. I'm more concerned about that. I want them to get to the postseason this year, but they better add the pieces that they need, like a center fielder. What are you going to do at first base, right? You need those positions.
I want to know.
And bullpen.
Who's the optimist if he says they're the best worst team? What if I said they're the worst good team in baseball?
That's what I would put them in that category.
Yeah.
They're the worst good team.
That's a little better. I don't know if that does. But I really think the Pirates are sort of one big piece, and it's easier said than done to get that piece in the lineup. I think that next year, I don't want to turn the page in this year yet, but going forward, you would think that the rotation's there. You would think you have pieces in the bullpen. You think you have enough, especially at the deadline, adding 2 guys that are everyday players or can be everyday players for you going here for a couple seasons, but you still need that one sort of tentpole player to kind of in the middle of the lineup and that superstar type player. And if Henry Davis isn't going to be it because he's the #1 overall pick and he doesn't look like he might not be that, and O'Neal Cruz, it looks like he might be who he is, which is still a good player, but defensively, and he might not be your middle of your lineup basher that you can depend on consistently. There's just one piece short.
Spend money. You can't have a $66 million payroll. Spend some money, get some players in here, and then you'll definitely be a contender next year with what this team has right now. Let's go out to Rich in Altoona. How you doing, Rich?
Okay, guys. You know what? Wash, rinse, and repeat. Rich, you just said it again, but we hear it every year. They're not going to spend any money. Too much dead wood on this team. And would you guys, if you had a word to describe this team right now, I don't think they're going to make it. They can't get over the finish line, but how would you guys describe
frustrating. And I would have said that every year. I mean, it's just frustrating being following the Pirates, being a Pirates fan growing up. It's frustrating.
And it's like this season, and other than the stretch that went over the All-Star break, and they were give them credit, they were one of baseball's best teams record-wise in July. And if you go since June 1st, even, they still are up there. So that they're doing some things, but it was incredible. They went 2.5 months without having a 3-game winning streak or 3-game losing streak. So it's just like you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, and that's just kind of where they are. And I guess that's the definition of an average team, right? And that's what they are. They're going to be around a 500 team. They are around a 500 team. That's better than all but 4 teams the last 33 years in this town. So take it what it is, and I think there are still ascending to go up. But yeah, they're going to have to do something by hook or by crook this offseason, trade, free agent signing, to really find a difference maker to kind of maybe push them over the finish line.
All right, Chris, we got to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls coming up next. Stay right there.